Hello. Hi. Welcome to the third episode of Boss Moves Media Show. This is a very exciting show where we get to talk to incredible people who are changing the lives of everybody in the media industry. And today is no different. We have someone special, someone incredible. It's Chris Mercado. He is, his accolades just speak for himself. Hey, first of all, do want to apologize for coming in late. We literally just got hacked. Can you believe it? Our accounts just got hacked, but we managed to retrieve some. So we are definitely live on bossmovesmedia.com, at Nonala also on Instagram, Facebook completely hacked, but we'll see how it goes and hopefully we can retrieve it soon. So Chris Mercado, he is a legend in the urban radio space. He really continues to shape the country, shape the world, and shows us how incredible broadcasting and production is made. So we are going to chat and connect with him live right now. Let's see if we can get a hold of him. And you're going to have a treat, man, especially if you're a sound engineer, if you are in the technical production space. This one is just for you. All right. Chris,
Hey, what's up?
how are you?
All right, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for choosing and allowing us to have some of your time, your precious time, because I know you're a very busy man, and you've been kind enough to come onto this platform and talk to us about how we can elevate ourselves. How are you today? Are you good?
I'm good. They keep me busy, but I'm not complaining. Never
Yeah,
complaining.
I can imagine. When you work for a multinational, biggest tech company in the world, I
Yeah.
cannot imagine it's an easy thing, right?
Nah, who wants easy though?
Yeah,
You want it to
yeah.
be good. You want to work for it.
It's too
Nobody wants easy.
easy.
Too
You
easy.
you don't want it too easy. Now, I just said, we started the show and we are supposed to start the show at exactly 4 p.m. and our systems got hacked. Cybersecurity is a big thing. And I know that you're one who is really into the digital space and you're getting to really, put in your feelers and understand it more. What have you experienced, first of all, where cyber crime is concerned?
Well, that's the great thing about Amazon with
Yeah.
the Amazon Web Services. You've seen AWS. We are so technically protected. It can happen to anybody, but it is. We haven't experienced anything on my end with the commercials. Thank goodness, because there are layers upon layers upon layers of
Yes.
security. But this happens every day, so it's
I can imagine. Yeah, it's
yeah,
part of the game, hey. And I mean, when it's live, you really just you go with the flow, hey. So you just
exactly.
get it done. And I mean, let's take it back, all the way back. So I got to meet you, and I got to know you on a trip to Hot 97 one
That's right.
day in New York
That's right.
City, and
Uh-huh.
and I was immediately welcomed into your studio by this incredible guy, Chris. You
Ah,
and you showed me the ropes immediately, and I mean, this is
sure.
something that's pretty rare in our business, where
Yeah.
someone really welcomes a youngin and they take
Hmm.
them on and they're like, listen, I'm going to show you the ropes, I'll show you how this is done, this is how
Hmm.
we work things. What have you found, like, how have you navigated your way in this industry? Who are the people who have played a huge role in making sure that you are where you are today, the creative writer and producer for Amazon?
Well, it started with an internship. And yes, I'm going
Yeah.
to date myself. 1989 is when I started in the business. Yes, this is why I don't have
Yeah.
any hair. So when I started in the business, my major was radio and television. So what you do, it was my passion, just radio, radio, radio. And I always wanted to know, how does this happen? I know the music, I know what to do, but where does this all start? So I wanted to dig deeper. That's why I became a recording engineer. I took classes, I started doing things. And then over the years, it just got better and better. And I wanted to learn more and more. And I became hungrier and hungrier. And if people didn't take the time to show me, I wouldn't know. This is why I pass it on. And you're talking about the Charles Warfields, the Tony Grays, the Skip Dillards that everybody knows, who took me under their wings and said, oh, this kid is serious. We'll share with him. So if I see someone who has the same passion, I pass it on. You have to. Can hear you. Oh, there you go.
Your first break was an internship.
Yes, yes.
That's
19.
incredible.
Yeah, 3 months. I had a 3 month internship, and once I was there, I said, you know what, I'm not leaving. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
did whatever I had to do. If there was something that needed to be done, I did it. They didn't have to ask. And in between that, I would still study and study and study and study because when I'm committed, I'm committed. It's not, it's okay. If it's okay, it's just okay. If you're
yeah.
going in and you're going to commit, you have to commit
And
and
go
be
all the
a
way.
thousand all the way, nothing less than 1,000%, nothing less. That means you're just okay. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
um, even though it's a little cruel, the U.S. Navy SEALs have this saying: second place is the first loser. It's a mindset.
I
It's a
like
mindset.
that.
If you're gonna win, you win. That's
Yeah.
it. You have to go and target it and go in.
That is beautiful. I'm going to take that. Second
That's it.
place is the first loser. I
Exactly.
like
I know
that.
it's not the warmest start, but
I like it. I love it.
yeah.
Now, I mean, so you then started your career at a radio station, and that's
Yes.
where you grew your love and your passion for production and for sound. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about, how you transitioned from being an intern to being a technical producer to being the station imaging and an award-winning station imaging technical producer at that.
Well, I had also Jay Dixon is one of my first bosses or managers who, I mean, amazing producer. He's a program director in Philadelphia right now. And so being around accomplished production directors, picking up things, learning and listening, I
Yeah.
said, you know what? This is the direction I want to go. And when I was in college, I was a production director for our radio station. But seeing
Yeah.
an official number one market in the world production director work, I was just sitting there like a little kid, like, wow, this
Yeah.
is amazing. You know, I want to do that. And so I started practicing and listening. And these are the days of tape, no digital, so I'm learning how to really use my razor blades and get everything down so that now with all the digital equipment, we used to dream of that. We used to
Yeah.
dream of it. I remember
Yeah.
we bought our first Mac, and it was like $4,000, and our iPhones now have more power and more more memory. We had a
Yeah.
1 gigabyte drive that was $1,000. I
That
remember,
was
and it
like
was
a
massive.
Linux, a
It-
Macintosh.
exactly. I remember those days, but I cherish it because now I can really appreciate the technology we have now, the things that we used to dream of. They're here now, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I like that. The things that you used to dream of are here now.
Oh
When
yeah.
when you look into the future, even though this is probably the last question, but we're here now. And when you look into the future with your clairvoyant eyes, what do you see? Like what change do you see in this particular industry, in the audio and sound engineering industry?
I see a lot more virtual technology, not just
Okay.
the Oculus and all. That's great, but people now want everything immediately, immediately. And people are smarter. I remember back in the day, the things that we do online with IG and everything would be only for the text. I have a 7-year-old. I give him my phone. He's like, "Hey, Dad." I'm like, "Okay,
Easy. It's
easy."
too easy.
Exactly. So or give him my iPod. Forget about it. Or iPad that is. So people want things faster. They
Yeah.
need to be easier. They need to be accessible, and we're starting to see that more and more. People are starting to understand sound a little better to a certain level, so they can do little mixes and things. I'm like, okay, cool. They're not going to do what I do because I do it to get paid.
Yeah.
So I do a deep dive to understand it, not just say it sounds okay. So
Sure.
technology being more accessible, easier to use, and more commonplace.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
And when we're talking about technology and how it's easier to use artificial intelligence, sound and audio is really, I mean, it's the big thing right now, but
Mhm.
this is our future. This is what is going to run the whole world.
Mhm.
What I mean, working for Amazon and leaving the radio space must have been quite a huge, and I'm sure you took some of the things, that you've mastered in radio and in broadcasting into this new space. But this is a totally new space for you, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, meaning I'm still part of Amazon Music unofficially, because the way
Okay.
it works is I'm Amazon advertising. So I
Okay.
oversee, as creative writer, producer, and audio ads manager, I oversee the commercials that are on Amazon Music globally. So
Nice.
it's a big gig. It's
Wow.
a big gig. So Amazon Music is the radio part of Amazon. So I'm still
Yeah.
radio, but just on a global scale. And in any day I could be on the phone with my buddies in Germany, Italy, the UK, and we're discussing ads. I just did one for iRobot in Germany. I'm recording people
Yeah.
in German. So you would
What?
say, I thought the five boroughs in New York were amazing. This is the whole world. So it gives you a much
Wow.
greater respect and understanding that we are one world. You really see it in a different light. I
I
love it.
love that.
Yeah.
Now, you in particular, you have done quite a lot of work where advertising and
Hmm.
radio spots are concerned. You know, seemingly, the life of the influencer and the introduction of the influencer into the game, the media
Right.
game has shapeshifted the whole thing. I mean, there's an entire paradigm shift, and advertisers are finding themselves having to choose between traditional terrestrial platforms and the digital platforms. Where are we actually moving in that direction, especially because you are part of Amazon Ads, which is the digital platform?
Hmm.
Are
Well,
we moving away? Are
well,
we, I mean, are advertisers still spending on traditional advertising?
absolutely.
Oh yeah?
Terrestrial is always still terrestrial. You can't beat free radio, and
Yeah.
the immediacy of free radio. If something happens, breaking news. A lot of times
Mm,
on digital, it's pre-programmed. So if something just happened, you may not get that information. So we
mm,
notice people, even though I'm on the Amazon side now, not terrestrial anymore, people know where to go when they really need the information fast.
yeah.
And also terrestrial offers more immediacy. It offers more of a touch and feel than digital. Catch the XYZ street team in Brooklyn today for T-Mobile. You know what I mean? You can go and see them. With digital, a lot of times you can't really meet the people and touch the people and shake hands with the people that you really listen to and enjoy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Does
but
does that maybe improve reliability? Do people find it more reliable?
Well, in a pre-COVID world, yeah, people love it. They know they can come on out and meet their favorite DJ, and they get excited. And there's nothing, and as a host yourself, there's nothing like meeting the people who support you every day.
Yep.
I have been lucky enough to be on stages, not as a performer or host, but I have been on a stage with 60,000 people in the audience. And when you're there looking out at like 120,000 eyes, and they're all going,
Yeah.
there is no feeling like that in the world. You literally do feel energy. Molecules are moving. I don't want to go all tech, but you
No,
are
for sure.
really officially, you're feeling energy hit you because it's all
It's a
being
vibe.
projected.
Yeah.
It is a real vibe. Air is
Yeah.
moving. So when you feel that energy and people are screaming and yelling, and there's no other feeling like that. It's
Mm,
intoxicating. And
mm, mm.
if you're just on your screen, you don't get that same feel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the other hand, you don't know what it feels like if you've never experienced it. So you may be like,
So
oh,
as
that's okay. You know.
Yeah, I'm interested in talking to you about, how we can create that ambience and how we can create that virtual reality for people. Because in the COVID world, the pandemic world, and the post-COVID world, we're going to
Mhm.
see changes like that, right? That's going to be our
Absolutely.
reality. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how we can bring this to life and how we can make it real again for the people, because we probably won't even be able to gather again.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is the Boss Moves Media Show. We are with Chris Mercado. He is an incredible production manager. He is, a genius on production, and he currently is the creative manager and head of creatives at Amazon Ads in the USA. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back just now. All right, so we're back. This is the Boss Moves Media Show. Thank you so much for joining us again. We have Chris Mercado. He is a legend in the imaging world, man, having imaged the best of the best radio stations in America. And currently, he serves as the senior creative writer and producer at Amazon Ads. Now, Chris, we're talking about a post-COVID world, right?
Yes.
And it probably isn't an ideal world, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, we were headed to this direction. I think COVID kind of just sped things up, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I mean, when we talk about the post-COVID world and this new normal that we're in, we might find ourselves having events that are virtual more than ever. How do we then create that ambience, and how do we bring back, that reality? And I see quite a lot of people are considering virtual reality. Is that something that we're going to see more of?
I think you're going to see a combination of a few things.
Okay.
One is just the experience. What separates this from that? It has to be an experience. Even if you had, say, a giveaway right now, people want to win things, but what's the experience behind it?
Yes.
They'll remember the experience much longer than a prize. So
Yeah.
it has to become something where you walk in and just say, oh, I'm transported somewhere else right now.
Mm.
Whether it's through, an Oculus or virtual reality,
Mm.
whether it's the combination of that and amazing sound. When you walk in, you're completely immersed and you just feel it. As a matter of fact, there are movie theaters that you can go to that have all kinds of additional effects where suppose you were seeing Black Panther, right? And you're moving around, the seats move on gimbals and
Yeah.
you're going to see more of that so that you can escape when you're there. It's a full experience. It's a full escape and you leave and you're just like, that was amazing. Because
I like that.
the days of packing 100,000 people into a soccer stadium, um, they'll get there. They'll be there again, but it's just going to be different. That's just the
I,
reality of it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, especially with regarding the virtual reality, the glasses, and the moving chairs and that whole experience.
Right.
I actually saw that. I was traveling once upon a time, and I saw that, and I was like, I wonder when this is going to be a reality. And I guess
Yeah.
this is the time now, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
when it comes to audio and just bringing audio to life, we see Amazon is doing a great job internationally, with Alexa and everything else. When are we going to see this come into, the African context and the South African language and the lingo and, the dialect and all of, is that something that we're going to see even? Is it in the cards maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a different side from what I work on, but I will tell
Okay.
you this. What I can say is that we're already expanding through different locales around the world. So
Yeah.
Alexa is learning different languages. As a matter of fact, I'm glad she didn't go off right there. There she
Oh,
goes off.
there she
Let me
is.
mute. It just hit me. I'm like, hold on.
You gotta love
It
Alexa.
just hit me. I'm like, I turned her. Every day we do wake wording and we test it. But she's learning German. She's learning Spanish.
Yeah.
The engineers are amazing that are teaching her. So, and when you start
Yeah.
talking about Africa, the amount of dialects,
Yes.
it's a massive undertaking to do that. And the team that works on her, they're amazing. I deal with them every day, and
Yeah.
so I know as we get bigger and bigger and expand more, you'll see that. I mean, can you imagine Alexa speaking Swahili?
Bruh. Like
It'd
Xhosa.
be
Can you imagine with
amazing.
the clicks?
It
The
costs
Xhosa clicks.
exactly. It'd be amazing. But she's learning. Machine
Yeah.
learning, the technology, and Amazon's always hiring those kind of engineers. If
Mm.
you are with your tech, they want you.
Yeah.
Because you want the best and the brightest. Let me tell you right now, Nala, I went through 9 interviews to get my job.
Wow.
9. 9. They
Grueling.
don't
And they were
play.
grueling, eh? Like serious
Grueling. I
interviews.
thought I was pledging again. 9.
Pledge your
9.
allegiance.
Exactly.
And I mean, I respect what you just said about sound engineers. I mean, at the SABC right now, we have the Academy of Sound Engineering. It's one of the academies in South Africa, but it's based right opposite the SABC. So all these sound engineering kids keep walking in and out of the building,
Mhm.
and a lot of them in their minds have this, I want to make music, I want to make beats. And sound engineering is more than that. It's bigger than that, And
Absolutely.
what does it take for a young person who's doing sound engineering here in South Africa, or who would consider it? What does it take for them to find, an opportunity like working for Amazon one day?
They have to be tight. They have to know what they're doing and understand that it's more than just making a beat. I could teach my
Yeah.
7-year-old how to make a beat in 5 minutes. Anybody can do that. But
Yeah.
are you moving people? Are you what are you doing besides that? Okay, you can follow a beat and count. That's great. Not knocking it if you want to
Mm.
pigeonhole yourself into just doing that. But if you want to think bigger, you have to really go in and understand the technology in order to move the technology. If not, you're just
Yeah.
repeating what everybody else is doing. I will never be able to listen to anything the same way after training. I can never
Mm.
listen to sound and just go, oh. Automatically now I'm listening and I'm scanning and I'm breaking it down without even thinking about it because it's part of me. Even at the movies, I'm like, oh, there's a change. Okay, something's got. Okay, the scary part's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
I can't just watch a movie now because I'm listening to it. Not just a chord change, but I'm listening to how the engineer mix it. Oh, and by the way, this is important to mention. There are more and more women who are
Oh,
becoming sound engineers. And I love it. More and more women are saying, "Oh no, you
yes,
guys can't have all the
girl.
fun." Exactly, you guys can't have all the
Yeah.
fun, and they
No, it's
know what
because,
they're doing.
can I tell you, the
Uh-huh.
studio life really doesn't look like a fabulous life. I mean, I know studio life, right? You're locked up in the studio for hours on end. You're hungry, you eat there, you keep your food there, you live there. And a lot of girls don't want to, be
Exactly.
part of that life.
If
But
I
it's,
added up all the hours I spent in the studio, and you're eating like double cheeseburgers at 4 in the morning
yeah,
because you've been up and you're like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm killing my body, but this track sounds so good.
I
It is not for everybody. But now, those were the days back then. Now I'm here in my home studio. You can just knock out
Yes.
something. Those days aren't really the same now. It's
Mm.
changed so much. And other producers I know, we talk about this all the time. And they're like, remember back in the day we would do this? Like, yeah, we don't do that anymore. You could start
Yeah.
making the beat on your phone. We didn't
Yeah.
have that. We were dreaming about that. Now you can say,
And
oh yeah,
and
I'll finish
that's
this when I get home.
that is the beauty of the life we're living in right now, in the world we're living in right now. The power is really in the hands of the content creator. and
Absolutely.
and you create quite a lot of content.
Hmm.
Tell us about how we can use this power. How can we take our content and really turn it into meaningful, products?
Well, once you realize the power you have, a bright person, someone who's responsible, starts to say, okay, I have a platform. How do I use it? You don't waste it. If you know there's never been another time in history where millions of people can follow you, like you, and
Yeah.
want to know what you're doing. It has never been done in history. So you look at things differently if you understand the bigger picture. A lot of times we think too small. We think too small, you know, and okay, yeah,
Wow.
my friends are like this, but what about your friends that are in the States?
Yeah.
What about your friends in the UK? What about your brand new friends in Chile? And you start to really realize, like, oh, that could happen. That is happening.
Yeah. We
Multiple languages,
yeah.
and especially with music. Music, you don't have to know the language to feel the soul. You don't have to know the language. When
Yeah.
artists tour, people are in different countries singing the lyrics and don't know what they mean, but they're repeating it because they feel it. You can't beat that. So you have to take the platform seriously, not abuse it, and make it work for you. If it's your living,
Mm.
you make it the best you can and really engage with your followers, your listeners, those who are looking up to you, because you have a responsibility to do that. You have to
So
take
then,
it seriously.
yeah, and we are the envy of kings and queens that have walked this earth right now.
Absolutely.
We truly are.
Absolutely.
How do we use our social media in a way that is appealing to someone like you, who is the head creative writer and producer at Amazon Ads? How do we use our platforms, and how do we position ourselves? Do you want to see, our personal lives? Do you just want the work?
Hmm. I think it depends on what your goal is. If you have a
Okay.
personal page and it's social media, hey, You want to throw a whole bunch of crazy shots up there, that's one thing. If it's your business page, I think anyone in recruiting, if they're reviewing it, wants to see business. You realize you have to have a balance. Everything can be just business. But what have you done? What have you done to raise the bar? It's a big phrase at Amazon, raising the bar. We
Mm.
have bar raisers who interview you to see, will you be better than
What?
50% of the people who are here? If not, we don't need you. Will you raise the bar for the company? And that makes us all want to be better and better and build stronger. And if it's a very serious thing at Amazon. You have to
Wow.
really raise the bar. So I had to prove that not only am I worthy to come in, I'm going to step it up once I'm in. That's why the intensity is there with the interviews. And I've come in and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And they're like, okay, all right. Yes, he's raising the bar. So you have to show that you're bringing something more than just yourself to the table. You have to show that you're going to push the company and raise
Yeah.
everybody up. It's
You're
very
going to
serious.
raise the bar. You're going to raise the bar.
Exactly.
We've got questions that are coming in, and please do
Sure.
send them through. Just comment on whichever platform you're watching from at Nonala Dose on all social media platforms, bossmomsmedia.com. We still have Chris Mercado. He is here with us, and he wants to answer all of the questions that you might have. And speaking of raising the bar, hey, Chris, you are one person who completely raises the bar, especially when it comes to music. I mean, I've heard your production and
Thank
you
you.
are on point. Like you are Grammy Award winning type of on point,
One
right?
day, one day.
And no, for sure, for sure. What there are a lot of music producers in South Africa and just musicians in general who want to break through that international market and find and hear their songs being played on Hot 97 and WBLS and WLIB. How do we position ourselves as musicians and music makers in South Africa to capture your attention?
Right now, the world is finally catching on to Africa, which I don't understand. How do
Yes,
you
Harambe,
exactly? How do you say, "Oh yeah,
Amandla.
yeah"? So it's like if you're doing what you do, the world is coming to you right now.
Yeah,
And I have to say, we've talked about this multiple times. Believe it or not, Black Panther has a lot to do with it. We
yep.
never knew from here, from the
Wakanda,
States.
baby,
Exactly, Wakanda forever. We
forever.
we we were so used to seeing images of
Mm.
our ancestral home that look completely different from what it's really like. And even though it was a movie speaking for the States, most of us looked and said, "This
Damn.
really?" And the pride, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
all eyes went, "Shh, I want to go home."
Yes.
The home I've never knew I needed to go to. So
Yes.
now you hear Afrobeat, I love me some Yemi Alade. You hear these musicians, and there's something that makes you move. It's already in your DNA. It's
Yeah.
there. So you just say, I'm accepting of what was already there. I just didn't know what was missing. So
And
if
how
you're
great
out
it
there,
was.
exactly. I mean, the stuff that Beyonce just did, people are looking at the
Yeah.
continent and just saying, "Oh my God, I come from kings and queens."
Right? You've got some
Yeah,
South African artists that are on there, even producers that are on there.
exactly. So
Ah,
my advice is do what you do. Don't change it for the States. We could do that. Do it the way it is at home. That's what we love. And there is nothing like I get excited just talking about it because you're hearing things that are already inside of you that you didn't realize were there. And you feel it and say, "Oh my God, this is beautiful." Because it's already inside of you.
yeah.
So
Is
know your craft. Know
yeah.
your craft too, because things move very fast.
Is there a specific sound that is hot right now from Africa?
Right now, everything in America is Afrobeat. Everything. Like we're listening, and when you have a Drake
Yeah.
using Afrobeat and all these other artists, you're listening and saying, "Oh man, this is amazing." And it's
Yeah.
simple. And because here you also have the reggaeton, you have the Latin influence. You know, we're like a melting pot of music, especially in New
Yeah.
York. When you're dealing with the Hot 97s, the WBLSs. So the vibe that comes from Africa is getting more accepted here. And we love it. Why? Because it's already something we know, but just didn't know. It's
Mm.
already in us. So we're
Mm.
just acknowledging that part of us and saying, "Oh man, this is amazing." Of course it is. It came from us.
Yeah.
You feel it. It's
Yeah.
already here. It's already there.
Yeah, it's inside. So
Exactly.
when it comes to releasing your music, I mean, Beyonce always prides herself in being the game changer in how songs are released.
Mhm.
What is the theme? What currently is the trend in getting your music out there? How are people getting their music out there?
Well, a lot of artists are using social media. They're getting the
Okay.
buzz going. They're running their own labels. They may need the major
Yeah.
labels for distribution to get it to the masses on in some cases. But again, we've never been in a place in history where you can do that. So if you're
Yeah.
making noise, you have A&Rs who are just looking at social media saying, okay, who's the next big XYZ? They're looking. They're saying, okay, they're on the feeds all day. They're following the trends.
Mm.
If you have those likes, if you have those listeners, those followers, they are watching. Advertisers are looking as well. They're saying, okay, you know what? I think this person needs to be my new brand ambassador because of
Yeah.
what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're across the entire world and people know who you are. There's never been a time in history ever where we had the technology to do that or the resources. You can
Aren't we just
spend
blessed?
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's the way a lot of people don't realize how blessed we are at this time because they didn't experience anything else. It's just normal, which actually is good that it's normal. It should be like that where you have a voice now, because a lot of the labels got really greedy, and so people are saying, no, I'm going to do this myself. I don't need to give up
Yeah.
this percentage. I'm going to do it myself.
We've seen a lot of artists do that in South Africa, but somehow, somewhere, they've lost the plot because you own your own label and then you release your own music, which is great. Have other artists that are under
Hmm.
your label, and they become their voices just become dimmed and redundant. How do you separate those two? How do you separate the management from the talent?
I think a lot of that is your contract, how you have it done, and connecting with the right people. Because some people, some artists want to have other artists under them just so they can really make a percentage of what they're making,
Mm,
and then be an owner. Or you have situations where you have other artists that are within a production company that are an extension of the production company, where the artist gets it, and says, okay, we're going to really build, we're going to make a movement, not just music. It's going to be a movement. It's going to be a platform, and they want the artist to do just as well, if not better than them. You have to pick and
yeah.
choose. You have to really
Mm.
do your homework. A lot of homework. Can't be lazy and do this. You can't.
Do your homework. You
Yeah,
can't
you
be
have to.
lazy.
Cannot.
This is
You
the
cannot.
Boss Moves Media Show. We're going to go for a quick break. And when we come back, we'll chat to Chris Mercado a little bit more about, the work that he's doing, also the future and where he sees this industry going to. Don't miss it. Come back right now. Welcome back to the Boss Moves Media Show. We're still live with the king, the guru of
Wow.
imaging. Yes, of
No
course.
pressure.
And you are the creative writer and producer of Amazon. Okay. It
Hey,
doesn't get better than that. Well, it
I'm
probably
just happy to
does,
be
but
here.
yeah, no, listen, we're so happy you're here. So, shout out to people who are actually joining us on social media. Let me just give them a quick shout out. There's Miss J256. We see you, girl. Thank you so much. We also have Unoluvuyo and Sulilite. We also see you. Thank you very much. Now, there's a question that has just come in via Facebook, and it's Lita Tezup. He wants to know, how do you actually get to create production and send it to America for reviewing? So if you want to get a job, how do you go about that?
I don't know if that's music production or audio production.
I
That's
don't
still
know.
to put in.
Probably audio production,
Yeah, audio production. Well, so I guess radio production.
radio
Uh,
production. Yeah.
yeah, okay, sure. Well, usually, especially with social media now. For example,
Hmm.
say someone wanted to connect with a production director at say Hot 97. You have to do your homework. You type in Hot 97. You go to Google Hot 97 production director. Real simple searches sometimes give you really quick answers. You find out
Yeah.
who's running the job and say, okay, let me reach out to them, find who they are on social media, their email address. Say, hey, look, I do production here in South Africa. I would love your opinion on this. How does it sound? Does it sound competitive? What is your opinion on this? I've had that happen multiple times, and I've given real honest advice. I've said, hey, this sounds good, but you may want to do this and that to be more competitive with other production directors. It's really simple, but you have to do your homework. It's detective work, but it's also never been another time where it's as easy to do the detective work. You don't have to make a whole bunch of calls. Usually digitally, you can find out. Can't hear you.
So there's desperate and then there's never giving up. How do you draw the line? Because sometimes people can try to contact you, Chris. You're a very busy guy, and this person is right on here, and you're just like, I said, wait.
Well, it's balance. My job keeps me so busy, as you know, but at the same time, it's time management. I'll say maybe twice a week I'll return business emails that are non-Amazonian emails. Maybe like a Tuesday and a Thursday, I'll go in and say, okay, and just spend maybe an hour each day just doing that. Why? Because I'm dedicated and committed to doing my Amazonian work all the other time, running the
Yeah.
department. Especially
Yeah.
when you're dealing with different time zones, different locales, you have to be cognizant of everyone else's schedule. The amount of times I ask Alexa, what's the time in the UK right now? And she's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
5 p.m. Okay. I'm doing that all the time so that I can link up with other professionals. You have to
So,
have balance.
Chris,
Mhm.
yeah, and on that point, I want to know what your thoughts and how you navigate around mentorship.
Mentorship is everything. Um, if people didn't take the time to teach me, I wouldn't know what I know now and what I've given back. It's so important. But at the same time, I could tell you, I still to this day have mentors, and everybody should. They make the time for me because I respect what they do, and they give me great advice, even if it's advice I don't want to hear. And you have to
Yeah.
be able to do that. You kind of go, all right, I'll take the punch with the hug. All right, no problem. Because you want that honesty. And I do the same.
Mm.
And again, it's all subjective. It's just their opinion. Actually, when I was interviewing for this job, I called the top 5 biggest dogs I knew and said, this is what's going on. They want me to run this stuff for the whole world. Here's my
Wow.
idea. What would you do? Oh, this is what you do. And these are people who've done it. So that they've had so many jobs where they've promoted so many people. They understand what it's like to have a massive staff, and they explained to me the intricacies of it and what to look out for. So I took that information and kept it in the back of my mind as I interviewed, and it's actually helping now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've got a question that's also come in here from Mick Authentic. He wants to know, he says, hello, guys. I've got a question for Chris Mercado. Do you see online radio being the future of news broadcasting?
Absolutely, especially if it's breaking news. There are things that change so much and so fast right now, that you have to keep up with it. I mean, honestly, the TV behind me in my studio is off because of this interview. Usually I have CNN on in the back because there's so much that's
Okay.
going on. You have to know. And there's so much that changes immediately. And that's another thing we were talking about earlier, terrestrial versus digital. if you're online and you're getting breaking news, there's something breaking everywhere all the time. That's just the nature of
Mm.
having billions of people on the planet. Something's happening right now everywhere. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I can see it online. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, with terrestrial versus digital, there's also the element of if it is on terrestrial, it's probably a fact rather than
Exactly.
the fake news that we're so exposed to on social
Oh,
media.
oh my goodness. I don't know. Like, you don't want there to be a governing body over that because it can get very dark very quickly. But the fact that people are so easily ready to promote fake news just to put something out there, it boggles my mind. Um,
Scary.
it's and there. I just picture them in a room giggling, like
Yeah.
like oh, they're gonna love this one
With an evil laugh.
published. Exactly. Like I don't know how you can do that, understanding the gravity behind that. You just can't do that. People could get hurt promoting fake news. You can't do that. But it is what it
Mm.
is. People are weird.
And then when it comes to digital sales versus traditional sales, uh, do you see businesses really moving completely onto digital platforms, or do we still want that touch and feel of brick and mortar?
I think it depends on the size of the business and what you're dealing with. The brick and mortars usually can't afford the bigger companies, the bigger platforms. A lot of the bigger platforms are digital now, digital and phone. That's how deals are being made. I see that every day. So it's phone calls, it's data, it's analytics. It's okay. Let's get on this conference call. Let's get on this Zoom call, this Chime call, and okay, we're good. We can virtually shake hands. Business is business. So I think it
Yeah,
depends on the company. Every day, every single day. I did a commercial for Lucky Charms cereal,
yeah.
and and Red Bull. And all, we're on the phone. We're on Chime calls. We're on Zoom calls, um, and that's how it's being done. It's very weird.
Yeah, interesting world.
Yeah,
You haven't actually been to Amazon yet, have you? Have
not
you
yet because
worked?
I
Really?
onboarded
How
during the
crazy.
pandemic. I know. I know where my job. I know where
So
the
you've been
building is.
working,
I
you've
haven't
never
been in
even
my
seen your
studio yet.
office.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm working from home like everybody else. We're not going back to after June. So I'm okay with that. I just made my apartment, my house very nice and made sure
Yeah.
everything is good. I'm still building soundproofing and all that. So I'm okay with that. We're all
But
working from home.
don't you think that really away the studio element and the need for studios? Won't studios end up being redundant at this stage?
I think the big multi-million dollar studios might, but there's still a home for those as well. You still have orchestras, you still have sound design for movies. That still
Yeah.
needs to happen. You don't really do that in an apartment or in a small room. You need to have space for actual musicians. But home studios today, you could do anything. I mean, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. I'm in my home studio now, and I'm doing
Yeah.
Amazonian work in my home
Yes.
studio. I'm sitting here in slippers. I'm
Wow.
okay with that. I'm
I
okay with
hope you're not
that.
like that journalist. You know that journalist from
Oh
what's that
no, no.
station?
Yeah, I no way, not at all. Never gonna happen. Jeffrey Tubin,
Now,
yes, never gonna happen.
I mean, we're about to wrap up, but before we do, we really want to know your inspirations and people that you've drawn from in the past, previously. You know, I know you have a very strong relationship with your own family, and those are people that you draw inspiration from. But this is something that is hardly ever spoke, being a dad in this industry. And I'm sure it comes with its own, dynamics. How are you handling that, being a dad? And you have, how old is Miles?
7 years old.
7.
7.
Sure. How's
Yeah.
how's that going?
It's great because the key is letting him be part of the environment. You
Yes.
don't separate him from it. So he'll come in, say, Daddy, you doing Amazon work? Yep. He'll sit down, he'll sit down with his computer, lay on the sofa that I have in here, and he's working, having fun while I'm working.
Aw.
If I have to do a voiceover, he'll help me set the mic up now. And then
Aw.
afterwards he'll want to play on it. So him doing that when he sees an Amazon truck outside, I say, Daddy, look, Prime. I'm like, there you go. Prime keeps the lights on. Prime gets him
Yes.
Legos, so he's
Yes.
happy. He's happy to see Amazon. Um, you have to do that and explain to him or to your child what's happening. Don't alienate them. This is what's happening. This is what
Mm.
we do. This is how the lights stay on. You like that fireplace? Good. That came from Amazon. So when daddy has to work, let
Yeah.
me work. And so we
Yeah.
don't have any issues at all. None.
I wish Akila was old enough to understand that. I'd be like, Akila, listen, girl.
She'll get there.
Um, and then I was reading an article, and in this article you spoke about the best advice that you received from your dad and your parents in general. Tell us a bit about that. The best advice that you've received, not even just from your dad, but what is the best advice that you have received?
Wow. I mean, that's biblical. I mean, there's so much. I'll just
Yeah.
say this: because part of a fraternity. We have a poem called "See It Through," and
Okay.
just never quitting. Honestly, I think the best advice again has been what I had mentioned to you about the Navy SEALs. Second place is the first loser. It's a winning
Yeah.
mindset. I even took a course that was designed for civilians taught by the SEALs. And I did that in
Mm.
2001 after we lost World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
And just for mental tenacity, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And the fact that I was able to do that, 35 started and 12 of us made it.
What?
Yeah, it was that difficult. But it let me know I can do anything.
Mm.
Anything. I keep God first. I stay focused and you get it done. You just get it done. It's the simplicity of it is what makes it complex. It's
I love
so
that.
simple. It's complex because it's so simple. Just
See it
get
through.
it done. See it
Get it
through.
done.
That's
Just
it.
get it done.
That's it.
When you speak about mind power, I'd be remiss not to mention what's happening in the United States of America right now. With the presidency and leadership and maybe the lack of
Lack
leadership.
of, right.
What do you see? What's happening? Like where is the disjuncture there? What's happening? I mean, I'm trying to understand it, and I'm finding it very hard.
It's embarrassing. We have the commander and baby who's pretty much throwing a
Mother, baby.
he's throwing a temper tantrum in front of the entire world,
Yeah.
and we're so embarrassed. We love our
Yeah.
country, but he is not, for the rest of the world, he is not an example of how we think here. He is who he is. It
Yeah.
is not a reflection of the United States. We don't do that.
Mm.
And we've never had this in our history, ever. And the whole
Sure.
world is like, can January just get here?
Yeah. Please, like
Including
now.
exactly, like please. So we're just hoping he doesn't do anything crazy before he leaves. But January 20th cannot get here any faster.
Yeah. And I mean, on that note, leadership is one of, very important things that you look at and you're very
Sure.
passionate about leadership. What do you think we need where leadership is concerned in the world?
You need leaders that lead from the front, not just that are bosses and say, you go here, you do this. You need to see them out front saying, come with me. This is
Mm.
how we're going to get it done together. That's how you lead. You understand the people, you understand clear objectives, you make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone's concise, and you show them how to do it. That's that simple phrase, show them what you got, means a lot. Show them this is how you do it. Not, oh, well, let's just do this and do that. You let me know how it went.
Yeah.
That's not leadership. That's not
Yeah.
leadership. That's not leadership. You have to do
Yeah.
it. Get in, commit,
Lead from the front.
lead from
Thank
the
you
front.
very much. I mean, I'm going to be part of Circle of Sisters later on tonight, and I hope you will be joining
Hey,
Circle of
I
Sisters.
will be there.
Because
Yes.
yeah, it's the very first digital, Circle of Sisters, so I'm not going to miss it for a second.
Yes.
And it's just been so great chatting to you. You're so
Same
incredible.
here.
You continue
Oh,
to
thank you.
inspire and empower us, so many people from all around the world. You must always know that. And we're waiting for you to be an EGOT. So please get that Emmy, Grammy,
Woo!
Oscar, Tony. We want that.
Life's not over. Still have a lot more living to do. I'm going to work on that.
Yes, yes.
All
You're
right.
so blessed. Thank you very much for your time. And we really appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Chris Mercado. Oh man, was so incredible chatting to him. Hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of it. Please leave your comments. We'll see you again next week at Boss Moves Media Show. And it's coming again Friday. Okay, don't miss it. 4 p.m. Bye.